Alright, hello. These are my favorite games from 2017. Top of this list, which is in no particular order, are 3 PlayStation VR games. I really love the PlayStation VR this year, and so for me, that's why they made it to the top. Skyrim, for the PlayStation VR, is up first. This was one of those games that was an absolute gem, and if anyone knows me, this was something, as soon as I saw the trailer for it, I ran out and bought the PlayStation VR, and the day it came out, I got it digital, I played it for 120 hours, got the platinum trophies, did everything I absolutely could, because the Archer gameplay and getting to traverse the entire world was an absolute fantastic enjoyment and an amazing experience. My second game is Accounting Plus, again for the PlayStation VR. This game was made by Squanch Games and the co-creator of the Rick and Morty series, which I am a huge fan of, and it was the same type of humor just transferred over. And it was absolutely hilarious. It made fun of streamers, it made fun of people playing in VR, it made fun of some situations that went on, and it was extremely dark and a mature rated game, of course. But the humor was just so dumb funny. I got the platinum achievement. I wanted to play all the way through. I listened to every line of dialogue. I probably didn't need to, but I personally enjoyed it. And so that's why it was so good on my list. The third game here is Resident Evil 7, again, for the PlayStation VR. Getting to play the full AAA release of Resident Evil 7 from the start all the way to the end in PlayStation VR was an absolute terrifying experience. The PlayStation VR is meant for horror games like this, and I would like to see more AAA games, even if it's just ports of games that have already been out, translated into this. But I would love to see games where it says for PlayStation, Xbox One, and PlayStation VR. You know, like it just becomes another console that games get released onto, because the experience differs wildly, but at the same time not so much, because there are so many first-person games. Now there's just no escape, really. You know, you can't turn away from the TV because you're still in. Next on my list is Cuphead for the Xbox One. Cuphead was one of those games I didn't even personally beat, but I fell in love with. We must have died 1,500 times playing it in co-op side by side together on the Xbox. I went over to a friend's house and showed him, hey, this is what I did to successfully beat this boss. This is how we can do it. And the entire experience was beautiful. The fact that it was a throwback to the 1930 art style of cartoons with the jazz music, I got the vinyls and the CDs on top of it, and it was an indie game just made by a couple of guys. Made this game an absolute treasure, really. Next on my list is Fortnite Battle Royale, specifically for the PlayStation 4. When PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds came out and it was in early access on the PC, I kind of avoided it there. But when I play it on the Fortnite version of it, the Battle Royale, on the PlayStation 4 for free, which is why it has so many people playing it, I had a great time. The being able to build the fort and the art style was beautiful. The gunplay was nice and easy. Even though the graphics were cartoony, you still felt it was an adult game, and you were able to coordinate squads based on what you had to do, and the duos, and even filling up with a random person was a very great experience that in itself too, because you get to meet other people, and every time you die, it's a kind of game where you get to totally reinvent yourself in 2 minutes when you start off all over again. Whether you dropped in the wrong area, or you got bad loot, or even if you got great loot and you died instantly, it doesn't matter. Next is Injustice 2, specifically for the PlayStation 4. I feel like every gamer should have, one of each genre type of game that they keep until the next best one comes out. For me currently, it's Injustice 2. I'm a huge Batman and Joker fan, and even though the Joker's part wasn't integral to the main story, which was fantastic, it was still the gameplay of every character seemed extremely balanced in a time when gameplay balance is sometimes put on the wayside or it's extremely over-criticized. But NetherRealm just kind of nailed this when they took the formula from Mortal Kombat X and transferred it over into Injustice 2, and getting to play through the multiverses and kind of having a recurring story that is really only a paragraph, but you gain something out of it and you feel like you're kind of part of whatever story it's telling you. every time you join, and the fact that it's recurring is very nice. And my last two favorite gaming experiences for 2017 are KOTOR, actually, Knights of the Old Republic, Star Wars. It didn't get a re-release this year, but it became backwards compatible for the Xbox One, and I even hear on the One X it kicks it into 4K 60 frames per second. But the fact that I got to replay a game from the original Xbox that is an absolute charm to me. I love Darth Revan. I actually have him tattooed across my chest, to be honest. It was a great time. Me and my friend, we got in a party and we tried to link up our game time so that we're in the same planets at the same time, and just getting to re-experience something that kind of got cut out of these new Star Wars movies. It's just a classic Star Wars experience on a new generation console, and it was a great time. My last one actually isn't a video game. It is a board game. Fallout, the board game. Even though I got it at the very end of 2017, me, my friends, family, we spent a lot of time playing through, exploring the different scenarios in the wasteland, and playing it with our Pip-Boys and our characters, and the entire gameplay felt so fluid and fun, and the enemies coming after you, and sometimes working together or working against the other people you're playing with was an absolute charm. It actually was to the point where when you won, or somebody won, we're all just disappointed, to be honest, and not because it was a weak ending. It was a great ending, but we didn't get to finish out some of the quests. It just left hanging there that we were very excited and figuring out how to do it. It's one of those games that you wanted to be like, okay, well, we beat it, we'll let it end naturally, but tomorrow we're going to get right back in and we're going to restart, maybe even do a new scenario, and or do the same one and actually try to finish out some of these quests before somebody gets enough influence to win. So for me, those were my favorite gaming experiences from 2017. And a lot of these were left out on the big YouTubers or on magazines that didn't talk about VR games, and no one really talks about board games, but I thought I'd throw that in there too. These were personal experiences that I really wanted to share with everybody. So thanks for listening, and let's play some games together sometimes. Bye.